Kaneki! Oh! Before I talk about that, before I even get into that, let's just talk about this episode step by step from the beginning and all that, because that ending, hype. Fucking hype. Okay, so let's just talk about this episode. So, this episode of Tokyo Ghoul A. I love the format of this episode. For the most part, once again, you have to where we're having anime original scenes and manga panels and manga chapters mixed into one. That's exactly what is going on in this episode once again. And so, from this episode, since we're on episode 4 of Tokyo Ghoul A, I'm going to assume, I'm just assuming that we are going to slightly follow the manga, but it's going to branch off and take a different path. Because we are slightly following the events of the manga, but they're a different path, like they're a different branch. And so, pretty much the way Ishida is doing this is, it's like I predicted, a parallel universe right beside the actual original manga story. So, I really like that. I like the overall structure of this anime original adaptation of Tokyo Ghoul, but this episode, for the most part, I love the little extra anime original scenes they added in this episode. One scene that stood out among all these scenes in this episode to me, as a manga reader and watching this anime original, was that Ayato and that Arata scene. Oh, man, that Ayato Arata scene, that full body Arata armor, I'm like, oh, that shit, man. Like, well, that's never happened in the manga if I'm aware of. I don't remember that happening in the manga. And so, seeing Ayato come face to face with that Arata armor, that full body Kakuja type armor, I'm like, that is too badass, dude. That's too fucking badass, dude. Like, oh! Because here's the thing. If you haven't caught on yet, last season, if you remember, we found out more about Ayato's father and all that, Toka's father. Well, if you remember, the father supposedly died or something. And if you remember the name of that armor, Arata, and then you have to where, you know, Ayato catches on in this episode, so that's where you are, lousy father. Get it? So, the fucking, oh my god, man, like, when I saw that shit, I was like, that is fucked up, that is so fucked up, he's fighting his own father. I'm like, that is wrong, that is so wrong. And I feel like this scene right here, the way this is being set up, and the way Ishida probably wrote this, he's probably setting this up for probably the 103 bones. I'm willing to bet that's exactly what Ishida's doing with this setup right here. But the thing is, that scene has so much impact and so much meaning, just to see how Ayato is pretty much facing his father. That's just beyond fucked up. So, this episode, getting into the other details. Pretty much, you have it to where Ogiri Tree invades the Ghoul prison. They invade the Ghoul prison, and they're trying to break in and, let, Ghoul prisoners free, and probably build up their forces of Ogiri Tree. And that is pretty much what the main structure of this episode is. It is freeing Ghoul prisoners and probably strengthening the, power of Ogiri Tree. And Eto is also there. Like, you see Eto just standing on top and all that. You see Eto smiling. Even you see these people getting butchered and all that. Like, oh, dude, that's so fucking awesome. Like, that shit, man. So, I just want to take a moment to say that the episode overall, animation-wise, it was good. But I noticed there was a slight few derps sometimes in this episode when it came to the fighting, especially the scenes with Mado and Omon. When they had their little fight in the middle of this episode, there was a lot of animation derps. I mean, it's not that bad, but I noticed a slight little lack of animation. Most likely they're saving budget for some future scenes. Most likely next episode, if I had to place my cards on the table for anything, they're most likely saving for next week's episode. That's why there's slight animation derps in this episode. But for the most part, the episode seemed rather clean. I mean, I can see how some could say that the fighting style or the fighting in this episode, the animation art, felt a little bit like wonky or different, but for the most part, it's acceptable. It is completely acceptable, and BDs and DVDs can fix that stuff up. So, the ending fight. We get to see Kaneki get the shit knocked out. Like, oh, dude. Like, that Ghoul. He just comes in, he's like a freaking macho karate master, and he beat the shit out of fucking Kaneki. Kaneki says, oh, god, dude. That was, wow. Kaneki got wrecked. Like, dude, Kaneki, you're light-haired Kaneki, you got fucking wrecked. There is one thing I have noticed about this anime adaptation, since it's an anime original. Kaneki has been lacking in Season 2. Like, he's barely had any presence. And I know a lot of you Shibits have mentioned that, but I've actually neglected to talk about that. But Kaneki has really been absent for majority of Season 2. I mean, the first episode he was there, second episode he wasn't pretty much, third episode he wasn't, and then fourth episode he was here, but he really didn't have any dialogue till towards the end of the episode, and then one line when he says, like, oh, are you here? We're coming to get you out of here. And that's it. So Kaneki really hasn't, you know, been around majority of this season, and it's kind of disturbing a little bit, because, I mean, it's like the overall shift of perspective of the second half of Tokyo Ghoul, and I remember these scenes, how they were slightly portrayed in the manga. You know, Kaneki had a lot of roles to play, and to see how Ishida is taking this anime original with Kaneki being disconnected from us, it's really jarring, it is. And I wonder exactly why Ishida would take Kaneki this path, besides, you know, my obvious theory I made multiple weeks back about, you know, what most likely will happen at the end of this series. But I wonder why. Like, is that really the reason why I think it is, or is there something else going on here? Like, why is Ishida and the writers, the script writers, all that, trying to disconnect us from Kaneki, our main character? But the ending, from what you can clearly see, is Kaneki is blaming himself for the deaths of his loved ones, the ones he's lost through the course of his journey, and he's blaming himself. And then you see this, like, weird Hagane coming out of the back of Kaneki, and it looks like a centipede. Straight up a centipede. That is the foreshadowing of the first episode, or the last episode of Tokyo Ghoul Season 1, and the first episode of Tokyo Ghoul Season 2. With a little centipede in the air Kaneki pulled out. That's pretty much a little bit of foreshadowing to that. But I want to dive into that and talk about that a little bit. So, obviously, you know, we have actually been disconnected from Kaneki quite a bit, so we don't know technically what is going on with Kaneki at the moment. And maybe next episode might focus on what we have missed from Kaneki. Like, next episode might focus on Kaneki and his journeys through Ogiri Tree. Maybe we might get to see his perspective of what drove him to this point where his, you know, Kagane looks like it does. Hopefully next episode really does focus on that, because I don't want to actually just dive straight in to that next scene, because we need a little bit more oomph and backstory to that scene. We really do. Manga readers know what I'm saying, but this is anime original, and I know it's going to be different, but I really do hope that we dive into some more explanation on that scene. I really do, because if not, I'll talk about it next week. But, for the most part, the episode, it was structured properly, it was good, decent pacing. Fights felt rather short, but I mean, Tokyo Ghoul's not really about the fights. It's about the psychological psyche of the inner characters, along with the character development and the interactions of what the characters and directions they take, and that's usually what Tokyo Ghoul is about. It's not really about the action. So, honestly, I'm not disappointed with the lack of action in this episode. I mean, I prefer character development over action any day. So, episode, fucking great. Animation, like I said, it's okay, it's good, but it's, you know, slightly average or a little bit below average in some parts, but it can be fixed for DVDs, BDs. And so that's pretty much the episode. Oh, whoa, hold the phone. Music. Oh, how can I miss that? Like, someone fucking slap me right now. Like, slap me. That music of this episode. Oh, Ishida. Or no, not Ishida. But that straight up has Ishida music vibes. So, like, dude, if I was reading the chapter of Tokyo Ghoul A, okay, if I was reading the new chapter today, that is the fucking music I would envision in my mind when I'm reading a chapter. Like, I love the battle music from the first season, but that piano song, oh. When you see Kaneki getting wrecked in this episode, you see the dude beat the shit out of that, like, the piano music, oh, so fitting. You'd think you need an action battle song, like, dun, 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 you know, you're just a battle theme song. But that piano, that soft piano song, when Kaneki's getting wrecked, that fits so well. And I'm like, yo, what is with the music this season? Like, Season 2's music has been phenomenal. I fucking love the music of Season 2 Tokyo Ghoul Route A. Music is subjective and it depends on your taste, but this music, man, oh, it captures that symbolic meaning to the Tokyo Ghoul series, and that is why I feel like I am loving Season 2 so much. The music, the atmosphere, the tone, it feels a lot more grittier, darker, and I mean, there was some form of censorship also in this episode. I mean, I noticed a little bit of inverted scenes like the standard Season 1 had, but it was only in one specific scene, one general scene, and it wasn't that bad. So, for the most part, I can look past the censors because it wasn't as bad as Season 1. But the overall structure of this Season 2 has been great. I fucking love it. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I love y'all so much. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.